Hello everyone, it's Drake again after a sizable break, but yeah, I've just been working, and luckily now the school year is kind of closing down. We have about a month until summer break, and so I figured I'd make a quick video. Yeah, this will be books I bought recently, books I'm reading, and then maybe just throw in some other thoughts as well. So yeah, guess we'll just go ahead and get into it. So for what I've been interested in, I mean, you'll see this with the books I bought recently, because I'm trying to decide what kind of reading project I want to do over the summer. I'll have about 2 months relatively undisturbed, and I want to have like a big reading project, something that I've been putting off or been meaning to do, and then just haven't had the time or haven't focused on it yet. And a few of my ideas so far, I mean, some of them are a little bit more maybe expansive than you can do even in a summer, but whatever, I'll still mention them. So a few ideas, I'll just throw out some ideas, and then if you have any suggestions or think it sounds good, just let me know. But so first, I was thinking kind of like literary projects. And I was thinking one of them would be finish reading Proust for the first time. Finish reading the In Search of Lost Time. I've read Swann's Way and I loved it. And so I was thinking, why not read the rest? I was also thinking I have that Surkamp, I think Princeton puts out the rest of the Goethe collected works in English, the translations, ranging from his poems, Faust, Wilhelm Meister, all the way to the scientific studies. I was thinking, sorry if I clear my throat a decent amount, I'm recovering from a bad batch of allergies and an illness, so I'll try to minimize it. But yeah, Goethe, it's I think 12 volumes. Why not? One of the best writers that has ever lived. Why not? One thing I will be doing that I've already started doing this year is reading the entire Divine Comedy for the first time. I've read the Inferno and Purgatory before, although Purgatory, it was rather quick and I don't remember it very well. It's been a while. And I never read Paradise. And so I am doing that. For my class I teach, we just read the Inferno in January, finished it in early February. And so I read that. I'm currently working on the Purgatory. I'm just reading the John Ciardi translation because it's pretty easy to read, has good notes. But I do want to get the Mark Musa by Indiana University Press. What is it? Yeah, I think that's what it is, but I can't remember exactly. But yeah, it's that press. IU is what the little thing looks like. So Dante's already going to be in the running. Well, I'm already doing it. I was also thinking getting into the Transcendentalists like Emerson and Thoreau. I've really pretty much neglected them. Read selected essays here and there on civil disobedience, but I haven't read Walden. I haven't read, I have the Library of America of Emerson's journals. Might read more of that. What other literary ones was I thinking? I was thinking reading the rest of Shakespeare that I haven't read. I've really light coverage of his histories. So I was thinking that too. I think that's pretty much. Oh, I was also thinking of doing like an epic poem reading, just starting at Homer, Virgil, all the way through. just reading as many as I can. That would be cool. And then I was also thinking, like, apart from literary ones, what could be some other ones? As you see back here, this is my history shelf, and I've had some spotty reading on it. really most of it I haven't read all the way through. So I was thinking, it starts up here with like Sumerian and Egyptian, and then it goes Rome, Middle Ages, and then this gets to, there's the new Spinoza biography right there, Leibniz, Newton, pretty much, 1800s, 1900s, 20th century, and then all the way down. So reading a lot of history. I was also thinking Toynbee's Study of History would be good, because I'm really fascinated with these comparative civilizational studies. And I could supplement that with some newer stuff that's come out in the meantime after he's, since he's been gone. What else? Those are really the contenders. Those are really the contenders right now. I'm sure I could think of other stuff if I wanted to, but those are really the contenders. And so you'll notice some similarities with some of the stuff I'm about to show you. So yeah, let's get into it. So stuff I'm currently reading. Now, this one I've been bouncing in and out of, but I think it's time. Small is Beautiful by E.F. Schumacher. So this guy, originally from Austria, studied with John Maynard Keynes. And then this book came out in the 70s. It was very influential. I think 1973 was when it came out. But I've been interested in this kind of sustainability, environmentalism, ecology, just web that I've been on. Some names that are relevant there. Aldo Leopold, Rachel Carson, permaculture, David Holmgren, read that. So anything swirling in there. And I haven't read the Rachel Carson, but that'll be coming up soon as well for what I want to read. For what I'm going to read soon. But yeah, so I think E.F. Schumacher kind of covers a little bit more of a sociology / economics in that realm. Same thing with Vaclav Smil's Energy and Civilization, but that's one I'm currently working on. Another one that I've been meaning to read for a while that's kind of in the same realm is Wendell Berry. I got his Library of America 2-volume box set. And for a while, I've skimmed some of his essays, sampled them. But one thing that's included in full in here, is The Unsettling of America. And that's another one of these books from the 70s that was very influential for what I've been interested in lately, with sustainability, ecology, that kind of thing. So this is definitely, I haven't started it yet. I've worked through the introduction, but it's coming up next. And then the book that I've been kind of a slow burn on that I'm working on is The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd. And this book, although it was written in the 1940s during World War II, it was only published in the late 70s. And then I think there was a period where it wasn't as well known, but then it got pretty popular. Now it's consistently reprinted. I was recommended this by someone in the Discord associated with this YouTube channel. And you'll hear that again for a later book I'm about to talk about. So I would highly recommend, especially if you want to talk about books with people and you don't have a lot of chances to do that, join the Discord. It's pretty laid back most times. We try to keep it laid back. Discussions about books, movies, music, that kind of thing. And you'll get good recommendations pretty often, I would say. This book is about Nan Shepherd, born in the late 1800s, and it's her traveling through the Cairngorm Mountains in Scotland. And it's not about conquering the mountains, and she makes a point about this. And she says that this book is too slow for the time that she wrote it in. and I think that's why it's important. And so it's been excellent so far. It's almost a philosophical travel journal, not quite travel, philosophical adventure diary, I guess you'd say. Yeah, even though the adventure's already been done by the time she writes it. Anyway, highly recommended. You can get this paperback. There's also a hardcover. So that's pretty much my current reading. I don't have anything fictional on deck right now, but I just had a really successful session at work at my school I teach at, where so this semester we read Dante, the Inferno. We didn't do the Purgatory or Paradise. We didn't have enough time, and that went pretty well. Then we read A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by Joyce, which was awesome. I was thrilled to do that. And then we read Candide by Voltaire, which went really well. Very short book, a lot to cover in it, so that went well. And then what we had decided to do was a teacher's choice poet. And so I was too confined by just one poet. So what I did instead was I had a book club set up where there were three options. There was the Selected Poetry of Tu Fu, translated by David Hinton. There was Sanskrit Court Poetry, the Vidyakara's Anthology, published by Harvard, and then the Poems from the Sanskrit, the Penguin Classics by John Brough. Those were together. And then there was the 15 Poets of the Aztec World by Miguel León Portilla, and then it was translated into English. And so whichever book the students brought in or checked out from the library or whatever, that was the one they read. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I don't think my students realized what a lucky experience it was, because I would kill to be in a class like that. Luckily, I set it up. It was a setup. I was in a class like that. But it went really well. Du Fu was a huge hit, and then the Sanskrit poetry was fascinating, and then the Aztec was, I think, a little hard to get into, just because it's so unfamiliar for my students. But it also was really cool because, of course, being in Texas, you have connection to Mexico. Aztecs heavily influence Mexican culture even today. So awesome. But I was reading those along with the students, and so that's what I have just finished recently. Yeah, I'll just quickly go through some of the books I bought recently, and then that'll be it. Pretty short video today. All right, so this one, it's Poetry Month this month, they tell me at least. And so I went to my favorite local bookstore, Alienated Majesty, of course, in Austin, Texas. As you can see, Alienated Majesty is their bookmark, address, etc., etc. Awesome bookstore. Great people work there, stock it with amazing stuff. If you're at all close to Austin, if you're in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, make a point to come by. It's awesome. And anyway, I bought these two books there. They have a big Spanish language section, which is huge for a bookstore in Texas. And I got these two anthologies of Mexican poetry, and they are anthologies of Mexican poetry from 1915 to 1966. And as it shows on the front cover, it highlights Octavio Paz, Ali Chumacero, who I hadn't heard of, honestly, before this, Homero Ardigues, I've never thought about how to say his name out loud, who I've read a little bit, and then Jose Emilio Pacheco, who's pretty well known. But beyond that, it also has samplings of the Los Contemporáneos, so Gilberto Owen, Salvatore Novo, just all sorts of people. And so just excellent. I'm just thrilled with this. Javier Villarrutia also is in here. Jose Gorostiza, Manuel Arce, just excellent. Carlos Pellicer, who was Alfonso Reyes, Ramon Lopez Velarde, all these people who I was just looking at Sergio Pitol, his book. He's kind of the generation after all these people, but read all of them, and it wasn't quite a total generation after. I guess maybe he was, yeah. But anyway, so very cool stuff, and it also looks kind of neat too with this. Let me see if you put them like this. I can't remember if I put them like this before, but kind of goes together. Another one that I had never heard of, but was a used book. They don't normally sell used books at Alienated Majesty, but they happen to have this one. It's a Colombian novel by Gustavo Alvarez Gardeazabal. Bazaar of the Idiots. And let me just read one of the blurbs it says on the back. A precocious and controversial figure in his native Colombia, the author has published 9 novels and written numerous short stories. Ever since he burst into the literary scene in the mid-1970s, Alvarez Gardeazabal, that must be how it is, has been competing with the fellow Colombian novelist Gabriel Garcia Marquez as the country's most popular writer. When it was first published, Bazaar of the Idiots became the #1 best-selling novel in Colombia. And it says, Seymour Menton of University of California, the skillful blend of reality and fantasy, social criticism, picturesque characters, and outrageously funny situations makes Bazaar of the Idiots worthy successor to 100 Years of Solitude, delightful reading. And he parodies 100 Years of Solitude, apparently. So I just thought it was cool. Neat title. Don't know anything about it, but it seemed pretty cool. Another one that, of course, everyone's heard of Max Weber, but I had never heard of this book of his. And it's from Verso's World History series. So that's in the trajectory of my comparative civilizational studies that I'm interested in. This book here, The Agrarian Sociology of Ancient Civilizations. And this was put out in German in 1897. So it's before his really famous, Protestant work ethic and, his other major works of sociology. But this one is cool because he covers Mesopotamia, Egypt, Israel, Greece, and then Rome. And yeah, he just covers the influence of, I guess, politics and ideology and economics in these ancient civilizations, also focusing on them as agrarian, which has been an interest of mine recently. And so, yeah, that'll fit in really well with my interest there. It's a good replacement for some books that aren't worth reading in my opinion, but will cover that same time period. So 2 more. An intellectual biography of Wang Kuo-wei. So Wang Kuo-wei was one of the most important Chinese scholars in the 20th century. He was born in 1877. 1877, is that right? Yes, 1877, and he died in 1927. He's a fascinating figure, though, because he studied, as you know about, if you looked into Chinese history at that time, China was traumatized by these losses to Western militaries. And so there was a huge contingent in Chinese culture, similar to Japanese culture, that proceeded to Westernize. And there was the significant discussion of, can you have Chinese culture with Western power and technology? Is that compatible? Or do you need to adopt Western ideologies to have Western technology and power? And so Wang Kuo-wei was an early scholar of Western philosophy. He went and studied German idealism, Kant, Schopenhauer, those figures, and translated those works into Chinese, into apparently very precise and lucid classical Chinese. But then he had a kind of a crisis of faith, you could say, and almost went back to the traditional Chinese culture that he had foregone in his youth. He did major study of Dream of the Red Chamber, one of the most important works in Chinese culture. And then he also studied deeply the Shang dynasty, which is before the Zhou dynasty. So basically the first historical dynasty we have, 1700 BC to 1100 BC roughly. So even before the Trojan War, you know, in you know, classical era and that sort of thing. But yeah, Wang Kuo-wei, fascinating figure, this mixture of East and West. And when the Civil War came about, he committed suicide because it was looking so grim in 1927. So just a fascinating person. I love biographies. Biographies are one of the most fun and enjoyable things to read, I think. If you want to learn about a time period, there's no better way than picking a biography of a fascinating person and then maybe reading a survey history afterwards, in my opinion. All right, last but not least, fascinating book. Another recommendation from my Discord. I believe I asked something to the effect of, can anyone recommend me a book that covers deep history, going from the start of the universe through the formation of the earth, you know, the growth of life, organisms and plant life, and then, you know, climactic events through mass extinctions all the way to the present. Roughly 1,000-page academic work, but, you know, that is not super academic. What do you know? One of the guys in there recommended me the exact book I was looking for. How to Build a Habitable Planet by Charles Langmuir and Wally Broker. This is the revised edition put out by Princeton University Press, and it's the story of Earth from the Big Bang to humankind, human civilization. It's illustrated throughout, many color illustrations in there, and yeah, I mean, it's a, you know, funny, clever title, How to Build a Habitable Planet, but it really tells you how we got here. It's an amazing synthesis. I mean, of course, I just got this in the mail a couple days ago, but I've been able to sample it, and it's perfect. It's amazing. It's exactly what I wanted. Because, you know, of course, there is a brief history of time, and these kind of, I think Carl Sagan has a book like this too, but those books haven't been updated recently, at least to my knowledge. And also this one is a little bit more substantial. It's used as a textbook in some university courses, so it's a little bit more substantial than some of the other big history, deep history kind of books you can get. Yeah, because I kind of wanted to figure out, like, well, how did we get here? And I've been watching, there are little, like, I don't know, 5-minute, 10-minute videos on this YouTube channel, PBS Eons. Like, an interesting one I just watched was about the Green Sahara, the Saharan humid period, when the Sahara was basically a savanna, and there are rock paintings of giraffes in the middle of the Sahara and all the way up to Saudi Arabia. And the thing I'm fascinated with about that is that this Saharan humid period really ends right at the same time that Egypt starts to grow. And I just think that's a fascinating overlap, that some kind of disturbance might have helped jumpstart the growth of at least Egyptian civilization. Of course, Mesopotamia is up doing its own thing at the same time as well, but I just think that kind of thing is interesting, how a disruption can force creativity and developments of better ways of living. And so it's an interesting idea. But anyway, yeah, How to Build a Habitable Planet. So that's a little bit of a check-in, I suppose. Let me know if you read any of these, if any of them look especially cool, maybe as I read through them, especially the 3 I mentioned first, currently reading. If you're interested in videos on those, maybe I can make those. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and yeah, jump in the Discord. I'll put an invite link in the description of this video. And yeah, a lot of cool people there. And as always, death is a gang boss.